Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina. A little bit of technical difficulties tonight, sorry about that, but hopefully we are live now and hopefully it will continue running. Definitely a little strange to start there, but appreciate your patience, appreciate you hanging out and joining us tonight for our Sunday night live stream show. We do this every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. normally, and we'll get this straightened up for next week for sure, y'all, but appreciate you hanging in there. We are going to be talking about fishing, what's going on now, what's coming up, and more, answering your questions live and giving away free trips. That's right, every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. we do this live show and we give away a 5-hour half day for two, a 10-hour all day for two, and a 39-hour trip for one lucky winner. Plus, we show you photos of what we're catching now. We talk about what's coming up. We talk about what we're catching and seeing on the water, and we answer your questions live during the show. So, thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us on this Sunday night. Let's get right into things and start out by telling you guys about our friends over there at Gator Jim's Tackle. Remember, Gator Jim's Tackle are the ones responsible for bringing you this show. 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. Make sure you stop by and tell our friends at Gator Jim's you said hello and that Hubbard's Marina sent you. Again, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. Check out Gator Jim's Tackle. Huge selection, killer deals, great people, and they definitely help drive the show. So if you enjoy the show, stop by, say hello, and tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you. Also, make sure you check out our supporters group. Another group of individuals who help drive and fuel our show. The supporters group is only $4.99 a month. It gives you private access to our private group. It's a lot of fun. So definitely check them out. Again, only $4.99 a month. We appreciate all the supporters out there watching tonight. And then finally, we want to give a shout out to all those who are sending stars. We had Larry White with a big 1,000, Angie Darling with a big 1,000, Brian Eakins, Kim Hutnick, Todd Stutzman again, Brandon Thrasher, D Flowers. Appreciate you guys, and I know there was a lot of names in that very first live show that we launched that ended early, so I apologize if you sent stars and we missed you, but definitely appreciate all the star senders who help make the show possible and help fuel the show as well. What's up, Scott Flynn? Thanks, buddy, for the stars. We appreciate you. All right, so we talked about stars, supporters, Gator Gyms. Let's talk about how you can win some free stuff. Every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m., we give away a ton of free trips, $1,500 in free trips to be specific. So how you win those free trips is you watch the entire show live. You comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. Then you continue to watch live, because if you're picked as one of the lucky winners that pop up on the screen, you got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address to the phone number on the screen. So watch the entire show live, comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream, and then make sure you stay tuned, because you got 5 minutes or less if you're picked as one of the lucky winners to text us your full home address. With that, let's get right into these photos. And as we're pulling up the photos, guys, don't forget to like the video for us. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube, like it on Instagram. It really helps when you like the video. And then also, if you can comment where you're watching from. Likes, comments, shares helps us to reach more people. All right, let's start inshore and show you photos of what we're catching inshore. Then we'll work our way a little bit nearshore and offshore and get into the show. So first things first, inshore. Black drum have been around out on the beaches, around the mangrove shorelines. Our buddy Scott caught some nice ones out there on the beautiful beaches. Definitely seeing some nice ones. There's Amy showing off a nice big black drum. We got some flounder out there on the beaches, a few spotty pompano out there on the beautiful beaches as well. Redfish action pretty steady lately. Starting to warm up, so those redfish are starting to slide into the mangroves a little bit. Also, sharks, again, warming up. Water temperatures go up. Sharks get real active. A lot of sheep's head on the move, kind of retreating from where they've been all winter around the docks, piers, bridges, jetties, making their way a little bit more near shore into deeper, cooler water as that water temperature continues to climb. So we sometimes see schools of sheep's head around the beach. Our buddy Scott showing off a beautiful snook out there on the beautiful beaches. Definitely a good time to start hunting the snook around the passes and on the beaches. It is definitely starting to look a lot like summer with the snook migrating more and more into the passes, out of the back protected bay waters. Tarpon are on the move. We're starting to see more and more tarpon around. Some big hefty trout as of late too. The trout bite has been solid. Slowed down a little bit with the warming trend. The trout are definitely looking for cooler places, passes, beaches, deeper moving water. They're not up in those shallow flats like they were in the cooler water, but we're still seeing a pretty darn good trout bite around the area, as you can see. Now we're going to work a little bit more near shore and offshore and show you guys what we're catching a little bit deeper out there. And then we'll get into then we'll get into the weather, some announcements, and then your questions. Remember, if you have a question during the show, comment something you want us to read, you got to text it to us, the phone number on the screen, because your comments go by a little too fast for us to catch. Also, the hogfish bite. We're not catching a ton of hogfish. Water temperatures have really increased, so we're not seeing quite as many hogfish, but we are catching a few here and there, and it's always a welcome additional bonus. This was pretty cool. This was a 10-hour all day, less than 100 foot of water, caught a big, beautiful mutton snapper. Some big red grouper offshore right now. Blackfin tuna seemingly increased for us. We're seeing some more blackfin tuna. 12-hour night caught one. The 39-hour are catching them. Gags, some big beautiful gags have been caught and released as of late too. This one was on a slow pitch jig. This is Mikey fishing with Johnny Jigs, rods, reels, setups, and he had this beautiful gag and a nice blackfin tuna on the Johnny Jigs setup. It was pretty cool. Shout out to Mikey. He got a Hubbard's Marina tattoo, so you know he's a pretty cool dude. Big mangrove snapper as of late. Dude, get this. Get this, Josh. 12-hour night snapper Friday night, bro. We don't have a photo of it in tonight's show. We'll have it next week. They caught a 12.5 pound mangrove snapper. 12.5 pounds, man.
That's the biggest one so far.
Crazy. 12 and almost 12.5 pounds. Stud mangrove snapper. It is the biggest one I remember was 12.9 pounds on a big pinfish on a 39-hour. This was a 12.5 pounder from the 12-hour night. So 12-hour night just absolutely crushed it Friday before last. The 12-hour night this past Friday did pretty darn good, but it was a little bit tougher compared to the Friday previous, just because we had a little bit of a tough time getting the boat anchored up. The wind and current were kind of opposing each other, making things a little bit tricky, but ended up putting together a nice catch. You can see a shot of the box there. Some nice yellowtail out deep too. Been seeing some really nice yellowtail snapper out there on the 39-hour trips. So exciting time to catch some fish near shore and offshore. And speaking of, let's look a little bit at the weather and show you guys what's going on weather-wise. We're going to pop right over to hubbardsmarina.com. Uh-oh. We froze up there for a second. There it is. That was not a very flattering freeze. So popping over to hubbardsmarina.com, our pop-up shows up, so make sure you vote every day. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But you want to make sure you vote for the #1 charter boat in the country. 4th year in a row we're nominated for that. So make sure you go to hubbardsmarina.com and vote daily. But we're going to go to fishing trips. We're going to hit weather links. And let's glance real quickly at the 5 and 10 hour forecast area. And you can see a nice long week of some dark blues. It's such a beautiful sight. Starting to get more into that summertime pattern of these really long stretches of warm, mild, mild winds, mild seas, and just warm, unfortunately, humid conditions. Humidity is going to pick up a little bit this week, but you can see basically 10 to 15 or less, 2 foot or less. Until we get into later weekend, it looks like the wind or the weather might kick up a little bit for us later weekend. You know, that might be a little bit tropical there, buddy. It's that time of year, baby. May 15th is the unofficial start. Let's see what this is. I think I forget how to work all the tropical models. I'll have to learn them all again. Can you type in tropical tidbits? Should come right up. Yeah, there it is. So I would assume that random weather event is, let's see. Let's see if I remember how to work this stuff. It's been 6 months since I've looked at this stuff, but hey, it's back. We gotta start looking at it again. So that was what, Saturday, May 10th. Why is this rain being shown on the GFS? May 10th. Oh, yeah. Low pressure. Called it. Tropical system. Nice. Our first tropical forecast. And it's exactly what I thought it would be. So this is a cold front, May 9th. May 8th, May 9th. Cold front comes across the Gulf and then stalls. When cold fronts in early hurricane season, May, June, really May specifically, these cold fronts are really dangerous because these cold fronts come across the Gulf and they don't have enough energy, so they stop here in the southeast. And when they stop here, it is not good because they hang out for a second over that warm Gulf water and they get tropical really fast. So, our first tropical weather. Now, I'm not talking a hurricane. Don't freak out. It's not a tropical storm or anything like that, but it definitely looks tropical depression-ish. And that's forecasted for next weekend. So, some much-needed rain for our area. So, looks like beautiful week of weather. Weekend might get a little bit funky. Might get a little tropical. Might get a little bit moist, which we could use. We are in a severe drought in our area. I think we're like 2 to 3 inches of rain under where we should be for this time of year. So definitely could use some rain. But that's interesting. Our first tropical little spittle is coming at us next weekend. So weather's getting spicy again. It was spicy with the cold fronts. Then we got into that period where there's not much to talk about weather-wise. And now, good, bad, and the ugly, tropical season is upon us. One good news on the tropical front is ocean heat content is way, way down. Like last year in May, so in 2024, like May 15th, the ocean heat content and the temperature in the Caribbean was the same as it normally is in August. So in mid-May of 24, there was so much ocean heat content and the Caribbean was so hot, it matched its normal historical averages for August and May. So the start of hurricane season, we had all this energy there, which is not good. This year, like half of that. It's more depressed. Water temperatures are much lower. There's not as much energy. So that is the positive news. All right. So we talked about the weather and we did that. Let's get into some announcements. But before we do, let's go ahead and do our first giveaway of the night. Let's do our 5-hour half-day trip. 5-hour half-day trip. One lucky winner. 2 guests. 5-hour half-day goes to Christine. Congratulations, Christine and Pete. You got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address to the phone number on the screen. What's up, LaShonda? Appreciate the stars. Robert, appreciate the stars, my friend. We had Phil Batisto. Robert sent us 500 stars. Appreciate you, Robert. 600 stars. Richard Harcourt, appreciate you, man. Scott Flynn. Larry White with a big 1,000 stars. D Flowers, appreciate you. Brandon Thrasher. Thank you all for the stars there during our weather reports. Let's get into some announcements. We covered the first announcement already. Again, we're nominated for the 4th year in a row as the top charter boat in the entire country. So make sure you get on over there and vote daily. We need you to vote daily. Vote on all your devices. Get your whole family and all your friends to vote daily on all devices until May 26. We need you to vote every day to help us win that #1 top spot for the 4th year in a row. Super, super awesome. Very humbled, very blessed, and looking forward to doing it again. And we can't do it without our fishing friends like you helping us out and voting every day. Also, don't forget, May 27th, we have our OCC Roadhouse event every 4th Tuesday of the month. Every 4th Tuesday of the month, we're going to be at OCC Roadhouse from 7 to 9 p.m. talking fishing, giving away free stuff, having a good time. The first event was in April there, April 15th, and it was a huge success. A ton of people came out. If you were one of those people, we appreciate it. And if you were one of those people, we had the speaker set up in such a way it was kind of hard to hear on one side of the room. For the May 27th event, there's going to be some extra tables inside, and we're going to move the speakers to more of the middle of the room, so it's going to be even easier to hear and even easier to sit down because we're going to have added tables. So hopefully we'll see everybody join us. They've got killer food. We've got lots of stuff to give away, and we're going to be talking all about fishing. So look forward to having everybody join us. Again, that's Tuesday, May 27th, 7 to 9 p.m. Red Grouper. We talked about in the past, earlier this year, most of this year, I've been saying how Red Grouper were probably going to close sometime around end of May, early to mid-June. And then we heard about that emergency rule that the Gulf Council passed, that they're going to double the quota for Red Grouper. And if that emergency rule gets put in place, the Red Grouper fishery will not close. Probably could go all year round. We could go from talking about Red Grouper closing end of May, early June, mid-June, to Red Grouper going all year. However, that emergency rule has not been put in place. So we were celebrating that we got our quota doubled, but the Gulf Council is an advisory body to NOAA. So the Gulf Council advised NOAA what to do. Then NOAA has to go back and actually make the rule. And unfortunately, everything is going super slow. And I'm thinking and unfortunately getting nervous that Red Grouper is still going to close, even though the quota is supposed to double, because NOAA's not going to get the job done in time. So I don't know yet, but I'm starting to get nervous. If we don't hear anything here very shortly, I'm going to start sounding alarm bells and playing Chicken Little, because it would really, really, really suck to have Red Grouper close in early to mid-June just to have them come out a few weeks later and say, hey, we're going to double the quota. We could have done this earlier, but we just didn't get the job done in time. Sorry. Super frustrating. And on that note, we've got Capt. Mike Anderson on the line. What's up, buddy?
Don't bring me in on that note.
Nice little segue there, huh?
Yeah, don't bring me in on that note.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
I mean, they just spent so much time, energy, and money on this whole recreational initiative because they know that recreational fishermen are pissed with the way federal management is going in the federal management system. So they're trying to get recreational fishermen bought in and more invested and get more recreational fishermen's voices involved in the process. And I'm like, guys, hello, hello. If you do stupid stuff like, oh, Red Grouper's super healthy now based on this stock assessment that's already 3 years old, the terminal year of data was 2022, and we're sitting on this stock assessment and not increasing catch. And now they're saying, hey, it's super healthy. We can double the quota. But it's going to take a couple months for us to get this done, and they fail to get this done in time. It will totally continue to make this process lose credibility, if it has any credibility less. And the things like this would really disenfranchise me, Mike. It's hard to stay motivated and positive when you see such disregard for logic or just giving a little bit of a shit. Just a small amount. I don't know how else to put it.
Well, and because this is your show, and I love you like a brother, I'm just going to let you talk, and I'm not going to interject.
My mother taught me if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
100%. I'm like, I just can't. I can't with the whole, we can't manage to get our job done.
It's crazy, man. And they wonder why things happen, like huge cuts to employees. It's like, guys, you have to be able to do your jobs for the love of God.
Just get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just get it done. Just shut up and get it done. There's times in everybody's job when you got to work a little harder. You got to work a little overtime. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You got a nice air-conditioned job the way it is, people. Do your job. Make it happen. Get it done.
Yeah.
I just don't have,
The problem is just the layers, right? Is the people who work at NOAA's Southeast Regional Office are just as frustrated in many cases as the average recreational fisherman. But unfortunately, these rule packages have to go through the bureaucratic nightmare, and it gets talked about at the council for a year. Then it gets forwarded to NOAA's Southeast Regional Office. They have to make a rule package. The lawyers have to go over it. They have to make sure it makes sense with MSA. Then they have to forward it to HQ up in Silver Springs, which is basically DC. Then it has to sit on some desk in some cubicle, and some teams have to comb over it. And sometimes rulemaking can take like 6 to 12 months. I mean, the whole lane snapper thing. We wanted to increase the lane snapper size limit from 8 to 10 inches. The rule is still not done. It got passed at the end of last year. We're going on 5 months, and it's still not passed. It's crazy.
I don't have any tolerance for it.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's just, I don't want to hear there's reasons. No. The reason is you're stupid, and you need to get your shit together and get it done. That's the reason. Okay? Yeah. There's just too much. Y'all play this fuzzy little game, so y'all don't have to do nothing. We can just take our time and drink our coffee and lollygag through our day. It's nonsense, man. It's nonsense. Get it done. Or how about this? How about you're unemployed?
Yeah.
How about that? How about you just get out, clean out your office? You can get that done in about 30 minutes. Get out. We'll find somebody who can get it done. How about we do that? I mean, that's what I vote for.
Yeah.
Anyway, see, I'm trying to be quiet.
So how's fishing, buddy?
Well, it's been a little slow. I mean, there's been a lot of fish. We've been fishing to a lot of fish. I did hear the bite I heard the bite got a lot better yesterday. So I'm hoping that by tomorrow things will improve for me. But we'll see. I mean, we caught some fish. I mean, it wasn't terrible. Yeah. But it was a little frustrating because we were seeing a lot of fish. Everywhere we went, we saw fish. Everywhere we went, we caught fish. We just didn't catch the numbers we were seeing.
Yeah.
So that's always a little frustrating. I think every good charter captain, heck, a lot of great recreational anglers think that if they can see them, if they know they're there, they think they can come up with a way to catch them. And when you fish a whole charter trip and you can't pull that off, that's a little frustrating. So,
well, at least you guys
hopefully tomorrow will be a little better.
When you're up there on a flat, your clients are standing up there on the casting platform. At least they can see the fish with you. It's even worse when you're in the wheelhouse looking at the bottom of the machine like, whoa, this spot's loaded. We're going to crush them. Everybody drops baits down, and they're staring at you like, hey, doofus, there's nothing here. Let's go.
Yeah,
I'm like, no, there's fish here.
Really? Yeah, really.
I promise.
No doubt. Yeah, if you can see what I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and especially when you're chumming an oyster bar or a couple of potholes, and you're seeing just pops everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you can't. And a lot of times when you see the pops on the chummies, they're not necessarily eating them.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're just chasing them down just to play with them. Yeah, they're just. I call it snook volleyball. They're just punching them in the air just to hey, watch me play with this little guy. I'm not really hungry, but I'm going to chase him around and play a little bit, get a workout in. So when it's time to eat, I'm ready to chase them down. I guess it can be just super frustrating.
Get a little workout in the snooker doing bench presses.
Yeah, like hey, a little cardio. Let me chase down some pilchards. I'm not really hungry, but I'm going to chase them down anyway. But and like I said, the good news is you feel good when you roll away from that spot. You're like, well, my instincts were right. I fished a bunch of stuff on Friday that I haven't fished yet this year.
Yeah.
But my instincts were right. I ran across the bay from Fort Soto, went over towards Terracea and Miguel Bay and fished some stuff over there that I got. Just like, hey, it's that time of year. The water temp's right. Everything's right. There should be fish here. Oh, yep, they're here. And then you get a little frustrated because you don't catch quite as many as you want to. But, that's fishing.
But they were there.
But they were there. So, again, you take that. You're happy that you got that. You're just a little disappointed that you didn't catch more. Like you said, the good news is they see them.
Yeah.
They know you're in the right spot, and it gets a little frustrating. And then, the networking that you can do inshore is nice.
Yeah.
You make a couple phone calls to your boys, and they're like, yeah, dude, I'm on the same thing. I got a pile of fish here. Can't get them to chew. And you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Not just
I don't
me.
suck. It's just a bite. Yeah. It's not me. It's the bite. So we're hoping, like I said, I got a real good report yesterday. And some spots that I fished this week that didn't produce at all produced really good yesterday. So those fish are moving around some. And like I said, we'll see, if that brings some power to our bite tomorrow.
And that's kind of how it's been nearshore and offshore too, right? I mean, the 12-hour night snapper this past Friday was really tough for a few hours. Current wind opposing. You get anchored up, and the anchor heading was funky. You go to the next spot, and the anchor heading changed again, and the fish weren't cooperative. But then all of a sudden, second half of the night, got a more solid anchor heading. The fish turned on. Same thing on this 39-hour trip. We had the boys from Salt Strong out there, and the nighttime fishing was rough. Just the fish did not want to cooperate. Every stop, the anchor heading was different. Got in the daytime, got a little bit more of a solid anchor heading. The fish still just had lockjaw. It wasn't until around midday when those fish just decided to turn on and made up for it and gained a lot of ground really fast. So it's been happening nearshore and offshore too, where you see the fish, they're down there, they're just not chewing, and you just got to keep sticking and moving until all the ingredients come together and turn them on.
Yeah, it's part of the quarter moon, too.
Yeah.
We didn't have a ton of moving water. I mean, it came in, but
doesn't help.
It takes it a while sometimes, especially if you got a little bit of east wind.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's that time of year. The good news is, I saw kingfish at the cleaning table this week.
Yep.
I saw tarpon this week. I saw tarpon hooked up this week. Redfish, snook, trout. We caught all those this week. Some really good fish. Still catching some big trout. I mean, there's a lot of really, really, positive things. Saw several cobia caught, some triple tail. So everything is kind of happening. We know the offshore bite's going off, getting better by the minute. So, I mean, that's the good news. May is still one of my favorite months. We still have June to go before it gets into kind of what, I call those doldrums of summer, which our fishing is still good in the summer. You just got to fight the heat a little bit. But,
yeah.
April, May, and June is when it's, it's as good as it gets for us on the west coast of Florida. And here we are right in the middle of it.
Time to take advantage, brother. Well,
yes, sir. I'm in.
We will see you May 27th at 7 p.m. at OCC Roadhouse.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. And I think Mr. Mahoney and Mr. Marshall, I think we guilted those boys into both coming. So
awesome.
We should have the whole Real Animals radio team there, which would be fun.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, we'll tell some fish stories and have some laughs. I'm looking forward to it, no doubt.
And eat some good food.
And eat some good food. Yes, sir.
All right,
brother. Well, have a good show. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Mike. See you, buddy.
All right, fun. All right, see you.
Bye. Always a pleasure talking to our buddy Capt Mike and having him vent a little bit. It's real easy to poke the bear with Mike, you know. Just takes a little bit of poking, and he can turn on for us. So he's not wrong. It's tough. It's a tough situation we're in for sure. Let's finish up our announcements. So we talked about the red grouper update I wanted to give, which is red grouper should be open all year, but there's a chance that they don't get the job done and red grouper closes for a few weeks and then reopens when they decide to get their jobs done. Red snapper update. We don't have a finalized answer yet, but pretty confident my original estimations were right. Opening June 1st, going into September a little bit. I'm feeling pretty confident, and that's what I've been saying since the beginning of the year, because remember, we ended August 27th last year. We had 30% of the quota left on the table, so I think we're going to get into like early to mid-September with the closure date, but announcement is supposed to come in the next week or two, so official red snapper update coming soon. The 12-hour night trip I wanted to talk about, I mentioned, not this past Friday, the Friday before, they caught like 300 mangroves, 250, 300 mangroves. The 12-hour night this past Friday did really well again with over 150 mangroves, that 12.5-pound mangrove, which is insane. And then the 39-hour, I wanted to tell you this story. The 39-hour that was out there this weekend was a private charter. The guys from Salt Strong, the guys and gals from Salt Strong came out and they do this annual fishing club chapter president retreat where all the chapters get together and their presidents come together and all the presidents meet up. And if a president can't come, then it's someone else in leadership from that fishing club chapter of Salt Strong. There's like 26 chapters now of the Salt Strong Fishing Club across 7 states. So all these guys and gals got together and they went on the 39-hour trip together. And Luke and Joe Simons, the co-founders of Salt Strong, went with them as well. Unbeknownst to me, Luke Simons, if you guys know about Salt Strongs, you know Luke. He is an die-hard, purist, artificial fisherman. He's going out there on the 39-hour. I see him bringing his rods, all spinning rods. He's got one little bait caster. When I say bait caster, I don't mean a conventional reel. I mean like a legitimate bait casting reel. And I'm looking at it, and he's like, yeah, I know. Don't make fun of me. And so I was like, hey, do your thing, man. So he gets out there, and unbeknownst to me, he's doing a video on the ride out on the 39-hour talking about how he's going to fish the entire 39-hour with artificial lures. And when I say artificial lures, I'm talking about Salt Strong artificial lures, inshore fishing lures. I didn't know about this. And thankfully I didn't, because I would have put my foot in my mouth. So This occurs. This is his goal. Fish the whole trip with artificial lures. How do you think he did? Do you think he did well? Do you think he did poorly? Everybody else on the boat's using live bait, dead bait, listening to the crew suggestions, watching our videos. So Luke Simons uses a 4000 series spinning reel, a power prawn artificial shrimp. This is a Salt Strong proprietary lure. It's basically an artificial shrimp. And he threads it on a 2-ounce jig head on a 4000 series spinning reel. Proceeds to cast out up current, let it drift down to the bottom. When it hits the bottom, he's just twitching it back to the boat, like we do with the naked ball jigs or the banana jigs or a myriad of different ball jigs that we use for hogfish. So he's fishing that artificial shrimp in the same manner. He crushed it. Outfished the entire boat. No one could keep up with him. He caught, basically limited out on red grouper, caught a huge mangrove snapper, a litany of porgies, vermilions, and other mangrove snapper, a strawberry grouper. So insane. 3 huge red grouper. It was impressive. His stringer stood out on the dock above everybody else's, and it was a big joke on the dock about the power prawn out fishing the whole boat. So pretty interesting. Goes to show you yet again, you just never know. You never know. And also goes to show you how those red groupers, they love the jig. Whether it's a slow pitch jig or a shrimp jig, a power prawn from Salt Strong on a 2-ounce jig head, or a ball jig, or what my dad used to do back in the 80s, 90s, and into the 2000s is a lot of people use those white bucktails with the big curly worms. The pumpkin jigs, I think, still makes them. They're like 6 or 9 inch curly tail plastic, soft plastics, and you thread them on to like a 2-ounce white bucktail, like what they use, like the Snook Flare Hawks in all white. And they definitely still work really well. Yeah, Jim Green hit the nail on the head. As a captain, never ever say that will never work. Because sometimes it does. Yep, exactly. Other thing I wanted to talk about is kingfish and tuna. We're seeing a pretty steady kingfish bite offshore, and also the tuna are starting to pick up as well. We're seeing more of those blackfin tuna. Also, lane snapper. Captain Dylan Kilgore texted me today on the way back from the 10-hour trip. They caught almost 200 lane snapper on today's 10-hour trip. And we've been catching 50, 75, maybe 100. There's been some trips with like 120 lane snapper. But now we're starting to see those lane snapper really fire up. 200 lane snappers, awesome. Plus, we've been catching a red grouper or 2 or 3 on almost all the 10 hours, and it's starting to slowly pick up. So I'm thinking the 10-hour trip is really going to start doing well on a lot of lanes, a few of those mangroves, and hopefully we see 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 red grouper as that water warms up. Historically, the summertime for those red groupers in that 60 to 100 foot range, we see some more of them. So definitely getting to be a good time for those 10-hour trips yet again. That's all the announcements I got. Let's do our 10-hour all-day giveaway and then get into some of your questions. Remember, if you have a question you want answered live during the show, text it to the phone number on the screen. All right, 10-hour all-day trip. For one lucky winner, 2 guests goes to Arlo Patel from Tampa. Congrats, Arlo. You got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address to the phone number on the screen to claim your free trip. Do you recommend bleeding the fish before icing all day or longer? I mean, you can bleed your fish for sure. It can help really make that meat whiter. You just want to make sure it's in the fish box. If you're fishing with us, it's got to be in the fish box before you can start bleeding your fish. Meaning you got to let the crew string it. Once it's on your stringer, you can walk back there and do your thing. But you can't go bleeding the fish on deck right next to you when you first land it. Does it make a huge total difference night and day? It can in some species. I personally don't bother with it too much unless I'm going to eat the fish raw, like sushi style, or if I'm going to eat the fish whole, then I get a little bit more picky. But most of the time, I've got young kids, so we take the fish home and fry them up, so I don't really bother with it. Even grilled, I think it brings a little bit of flavor, but some people like really white meat, and it definitely makes a little bit more of a white meat. Makes that bloodline a little bit smaller too, but I think it takes away a little bit of the taste as well. So it's kind of personal preference to answer the question. Some people love it, swear by it though. What else we got here? When going on a 39-hour trip, how early can I park in the garage in Johnson? This guy Roger, Slippy, as we call him, comes a lot, and he's from the East Coast, so he has to take I-4 all the way across the state of Florida. And for those of you who live in Florida, in Central Florida, you know I-4 is the gateway to hell. It is terrible. Never, ever drive on I-4 if you can ever afford not to. I lived in Orlando. I went to school at UCF for college, And I never drove I-4 unless, like if I was driving home, I would leave at like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night and only drive back in the wee hours of the morning or at night. So it's safe to drive on I-4 between like 11 o'clock at night and like 4 a.m. Outside of that, don't do it. So all that to say, Roger will come to Hubbard's Marina, and if he's going on a 39 hour at 3 o'clock, he'll normally show up to Hubbard's Marina at like 5 a.m. Because he drove across the state of Florida, left his house at 3 a.m. to avoid traffic on I-4. So to answer the question, there is no limit. I've had people show up the night before trips. There's even a hotel in the parking garage. So you can literally, where you park for your fishing trip, there's hotel rooms around the outer perimeter of the garage. John's Pass Hotel, it's called. So you can stay in a hotel, or I don't think it's allowed, but some people do it, sleep in their car. So there is no limit. You can show up as early as you want. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Oh yeah, they just told the story. So someone said that their buddy was on the Salt Strong trip from New Orleans, and they heard the story about how Luke Simons used the power prawn and outfished everybody with a 2-ounce jig head. And he said, I thought it would be Tangle City using that light of a jig head on a 39-hour trip. 100% it would be, but this was a private charter, and they only had about 24 people fishing, and they were super spread out. I think there was like 4 guys on the stern of the boat, where normally we'll have 10 or 12, right? And they spread out. There was 5-6 feet in between each one of them, so they had plenty of room. So that's how they were able to pull off that unique style of fishing. Luke was fishing a corner of the stern, so he had plenty of real estate to do that unique style of fishing. Could you use a 2-ounce jig head on a normal 39-hour trip? Generally, no. But if it's a light load, you can pull it off. So, not during red snapper season. Are we allowed red grouper on snapper season? During snapper. So red grouper should be open all year, like I talked about, but there's a chance that they could close around early to mid-June if they don't get that rule in place in time. So to answer your question, I have no idea. We should know in the next week or two. They're going to be finalizing stuff. I live on the East Coast. Fishing sucks. I need to move to the West Coast. Yeah, the East Coast of Florida, man, they've got a lot of problems over there in the South Atlantic with shark problems. They have the whale speed zone. They're talking about closing an area for 3 months. It's pretty ugly over there in the South Atlantic, unfortunately. We're very blessed in the Gulf with a vibrant fishery. I think the greatest topography in the Gulf. Other areas of the Gulf have cool things, like our buddy Jim in Destin. You can get really deep really fast. So, I mean, he can go 25, 30 miles and be fishing 150 foot of water. He can fish over 100 foot on a half-day trip. On our half-day trips, we're fishing 40 foot of water. But we have hogfish, and they don't. They can get out and pelagic fish a little easier. We can't. But we have such a huge biodiversity with lane snapper, yellowtail snapper, mutton snapper, hogfish. And a lot of those species don't really make it all the way up there into the panhandle. So I think Central West Florida is cool because we have such a wide variety of biodiversity. So it's all depends on what your opinion is, but we're definitely blessed, in my opinion, with a great fishery because of our topography and geography. I think, what are my chances of catching a tuna or wahoo early in August? Definitely possible on the tuna front and wahoo front. Also, we see some Cubera snapper August and September a lot of times too, so you never know. Is red snapper closed for the month of August? No. Red snapper should... Oh, one thing we should talk about that I forgot to emphasize. Please don't call us about Governor DeSantis and the FWC snapper season. Can you Google, Josh, for me, FWC red snapper? Governor DeSantis did this huge, big press release talking about how the red snapper season's 126 days, and that it's going to be open in June. It's going to be open in a couple days in late May, like May 24th, 25th, and 26th. Then it's open in June and July and closed in August. Then it's going to be open 3 days every weekend, September through the end of the year, or something like that. That has nothing to do with us. Does not affect us, does not include us. That was a private recreational red snapper announcement. So this huge red snapper season that Governor DeSantis talked about is not applying to us. So it's May 24th, 25th, and 26th, and then open June 1st to July 21st, and then it's basically 14 days straight in the beginning of September, and then weekends all the way through the end of the year. So this is private recreational red snapper. So don't get confused. Don't call us about it. FWC's website, Governor DeSantis' announcement is private recreational red snapper. As I've been saying since January 1st, our season will be June 1st till about hopefully around mid-September, maybe even late September, I don't know. But our season will start June 1st, and I'm pretty confident we're going to get into September. And I've been saying that since the beginning of the year, and I'm pretty confident that I'm very close to right. But we'll find out for sure in the next couple weeks. All right. Thank you for bringing that up, whoever brought that up, because I forgot to announce that. On the 39-hour trip, I'm planning to rent a rod and reel. Does this include different size hooks? Yes. So a lot of times people get confused because our website says we recommend 3 to 5 rods. Well, when you rent a rod and reel, we only give you 1 rod and reel. But we do have different leader sizes and hook sizes. So you can make up different leaders, and you switch out your leaders based on what fish you're targeting. More advanced anglers who invest a lot of money into their tackle will have a different rod and reel for each species. I'll have a mangrove snapper rod and reel. I'll have a red snapper, red grouper rod and reel. I'll have a gag grouper rod and reel. I'll have a trolling setup maybe. A slow pitch jig setup maybe. So you switch out rods and reels for the fish you're targeting. If you're renting a rod and reel, you got 1 rod and 1 reel, but then you switch out leaders based on what you're targeting. If you're fishing mangroves, you're going to fish a little lighter tackle, a little lighter leader, a little smaller hook, that kind of thing. All right, next question. What do we got? What weights are best for 39-hour trips? 12-hour extreme, 39-hour trips. You want to have a good number of 6s, some 8 ounces, and then maybe some 10 or 12-ounce weights too. Don't have to go super crazy above that, but 6 and 8 ounce weights mostly. And it also depends on your main line, right? If you're fishing in amberjack or gags and you've got a 100-pound main line, you're going to need more like a 10-ounce egg sinker. If you're fishing a chicken rig, you're going to need a 10-ounce egg sinker. And I don't recommend that, but it's a whole different video. Next question, what do we got? What are some good setups for tarpon? We do not tarpon fish. That is one thing we don't do well, but most of the time it's big spinning reels, some heavier gear like a 6,000, 8,000 series spinning reel, 20, 30-pound test, and 60, 80-pound leader if you're fishing around a bridge, 40, 50-pound leader if you're fishing the beach. Does the mayor still have his head up his butt, not allowing people to fish from the rock jetties? So the mayor is a woman. Anne Marie Brooks is the mayor of Madeira Beach, and she's awesome. She's the one who helped us change the city manager, and the city manager is a dude who's named Robin, and Robin is the problem. He's the one who decided to destroy the jetty's walkway. He's the one who decided to start trespassing fishermen off of it. But Anne Marie Brooks, she helped us change that. So you can fish from the Johns Pass jetty now, but it's just a rocky disaster. There's no walkway anymore because our city manager at Madeira Beach is the most incompetent, terrible at his job example of poor city leadership. And that's putting it very nicely. And I can't get into it too much because we don't have enough time left in the show for me to tell you my true feelings. All right, next question. What else we got? When is the best time of year to catch triple tail inshore? It's starting right now. Yeah, spring through the summer. Really, they're all year if you're fishing the channel markers of Tampa Bay or fishing the Egmont Key buoys. But most of the time, spring, fall, water starts clearing up. We start finding the triple tail on the floating debris, and through the summer too, even offshore quite a bit as well. All right, we got time for one more. We were about 25 minutes late, so what's up? 55? All right. Will we be able to keep red snapper on the 12-hour night May 23rd? So remember, red snapper's June 1st to around mid-September. So no, May 23rd, you wouldn't be able to keep red snapper. And then also keep in mind, 39-hour trips, 44-hour trips, 12-hour extreme trips, long-range private charters, 8 to 10 hours or more on the Flying Nip 2. That's the way to get red snapper. 10-hour trips, we're not going to really catch red snapper. We don't get deep enough. 12-hour night trips, we see some red snapper, but we don't really target the red snapper, and we're just starting to get deep enough to see them. So you might get red snapper on a 12-hour night trip, but generally we target red snapper during the day, and generally we're targeting red snapper in 120 to 140 foot of water or more, especially once season starts going on a little bit. So the 12-hour extreme, 39, 44-hour are definitely the trips to go on if you want red snapper. The ferry accident was bad in Clearwater. Yes, it is extremely sad what happened, for sure. It is an ugly situation, and definitely interesting what will come out of this ferry incident, for sure. Can't believe there's still no arrests have been made, but who knows? They don't sell love lures anymore. What do you recommend? You can make your own. Pretty easy. It's basically a chicken rig with artificial lures. That term just keeps coming up. I can't get away from it. But yeah, Love's lures were the tandem rig. I used to make my own when I was real young, fishing 8, 9, 10 years old. I got a Carolina skiff. I wanted a boat when I was a kid, and my dad said, you better get a job. So I did, and I did buy a boat, and I fished a lot inshore, and I would tie up a tandem rig with DOA shrimp. So instead of Love's lures, I would tie my own and tie DOA shrimp on it, and I crushed the trout on that setup. Really easy to tie your own tandem rig. There's a lot of loop knots out there if you YouTube it. There's endless videos. Is there a trip that targets mahi-mahi, Goliath grouper, or giant jack trevally? We do have a trip for Goliath grouper. I could do one of the three. Giant jack trevally are not in the Gulf of Mexico. That's more like Australia, New Zealand. Really cool YouTube videos, though. I think maybe Hawaii. I don't know. I don't know to answer your question on the trevally, but I know it's not in the Caribbean or around Costa Rica, Panama, or definitely not in the Gulf. Most of the time you see that kind of thing in like New Zealand, Australia. And then mahi-mahi, we catch mahi-mahi quite a bit once the warmer months roll around, and even sometimes in the cooler months when the currents, the warming currents get close to us. But for the most part, mahi-mahi are like a bycatch for us. It's not something I wouldn't feel comfortable saying, we're going to go catch mahi-mahi today and take you out there fishing. If you want to do a mahi-mahi specific trip, go down to the Keys, Southeast Florida, the Bahamas, that kind of thing. But you can catch them in the Gulf off our area. It's just not something that you could necessarily go for. Coming down for the 10-hour trip on the 11th, how many shrimp and pinfish would you recommend? Maybe a dozen pinfish, probably 5 dozen shrimp. When hogfish are really biting well, I would bring 5, 10, maybe even 15 dozen shrimp because you're using them a lot. Definitely don't need them as much this time of year, but sometimes if the bite gets a little finicky and slow, lighter tackle and a shrimp can sometimes entice the bite. So it's good to have shrimp near shore. So 5 and 10-hour trips, it's always a good idea to bring a few. 10-hour trip, pinfish, not as necessary, but definitely it's good to have them. If red grouper start coming up, you see some big mangroves. They work well. Do we carry love lures? No, they don't make them anymore. Straight up out of business. That's a classic. I have a couple of them, and I will never ever fish them. They're for posterity only. Would you consider doing a 12-hour red snapper trip? We do. It's called a 12-hour extreme trip. We will not do a 12-hour party boat trip for red snapper. It's like a 3-hour ride out. It's like a 3-hour ride back. You get only about 6 hours of fishing, and it is hero or zero because you have such a short amount of fishing time. We burn so much fuel, we have to charge more than a 10-hour, so it ends up being almost like $200 a person. And so often, even if it's a killer trip, you're allowed 2 red snapper per day. So even if it's a killer trip and you catch 2 fish, someone looks at the $200 they spent and then looks at their 2 red snapper and they get angry. This is a terrible trip. I didn't catch enough fish. Even though they knew what they paid for and they knew what they booked. We've done 12-hour red snapper trips in the past. We used to do a 10-hour trip on Tuesday and Sunday, and Thursday was a 12-hour trip. And it was like $60 more than the 10-hour, and we went 3.5 hours out. I killed that trip, and it will never ever come back. Because the worst trip with the most complaints was always that 12-hour trip. Because even if the trip went well, you had such a short fishing time and such deep water and such a long ride out and such a long ride back. Inevitably, someone who shouldn't have been out there, who was maybe a little inexperienced or maybe didn't know what they were getting into and wanted to catch 39-hour quality fish and had been watching 39-hour videos and thought that they were going on a 39-hour quality trip, gets disappointed. It just completely set us up for failures. Perception and expectations were off the chart. No shot the 12-hour day trip ever comes back. Sorry, guys. It's never worked. Literally, ever. Captain James Dutton, he's talked me into letting him do it before, and we got multiple complaints. Captain Frank used to beg me to do it. He got complaints about it. It's never worked out well. So, it's not coming back. Sorry. But, if we have different boats, we could change things around for sure. I know, Josh. I appreciate the reminder, though. All right. I think we are out of time. What do you think, Josh? We started a little late, but we wanted to run a little long to make sure we covered everything. Have you caught a yellowfin tuna on a 39-hour? Yes, we have. Has it happened often? No. It's happened one time in my time frame managing the company. So it is extremely rare. But we've caught one. We've caught sailfish. And sailfish is actually pretty common. I would say we catch a half dozen to 10 a year. We've hooked a marlin. Didn't land it, though. That was fun, though. It was cool to see it jump. All right, so we got to do our 39-hour giveaway. Remember to vote for Hubbard's Marina as the top charter boat in the country for the 4th year in a row. We need your help to vote daily. Also, want to make sure I give a shout-out to our team at Hubbard's Marina. I was awarded Tourism Person of the Year for our regional Chamber of Commerce. It was a huge honor, super surprising, super humbling, but that award is 100% due to our staff and our team at Hubbard's Marina and our fishing family like you guys. So thanks for making that possible for sure. It was cool. It was a big honor, but I definitely wanted to give a shout out for our team on that front. They really mentioned Hurricane Helene and our Hurricane Helene recovery and how fast we recovered and how we were so motivational to everybody else. But that wasn't me. That was our entire team worked their tails off on that. And our media team worked their tails advertising that. So it was a huge honor for sure, but I definitely felt like Tourism Person of the Year was a little bit misleading because it was really our whole team, you know. But it was cool. Definitely appreciate it and appreciate all the kind wishes everybody gave us over that. With that, We already did the 10-hour, yeah. I just didn't write that down. Let's do our Innovative Pools and Spa giveaway, our 39-hour trip for one lucky winner. Remember, this is brought to you by our friends at Innovative Pools and Spa. They bring you 35 years of experience building pools in the Tampa Bay area, and it's a family-owned business celebrating their father's experience and legacy in the pool building industry. They're recognized as a top pool builder in the area for over 3 decades. Plus, they continue to raise the bar in pool construction, design, and features. And they have an unparalleled passion for the industry. Call them today at 727-788-1650 or visit them online at innovativepoolsandspa.net for an estimate and see why they're a top choice for families in our community. So, 39-hour trip brought to you by our friends at Innovative Pools and Spa goes to... Lucky winner is Randy Friend from Newark, Ohio. Congrats, my friend. You got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address to claim that free trip, y'all. Appreciate everybody hanging out and tuning in. Next week is Mother's Day Sunday. And you guessed it, Mother's Day Sunday. Happy wife, happy life. No live show next week, guys. So no Mother's Day live stream show. So we're going to take next week off, but we're going to invest in some new computer hardware. We're going to invest in some new software, and we're going to make sure what happened at the beginning of tonight's show doesn't happen again. So appreciate your patience tonight. Sorry for starting late and running long, but we're going to fix that for the next show, which will not be next weekend because of Mother's Day, but the very following weekend we'll be back to every Sunday at 5 or 7:30 at night. Little brain fart there at the end of the show. Appreciate you tuning in and hanging out. Supporters after show will start at, Josh, what time? 9:05. He's giving himself 5 minutes. Supporters after show starts in 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes to join us in the supporters group. It's only $4.99 a month, less than $5. It's a great time. More communication, behind the scenes info. Join us. We'll see you May 27th at OCC, 7 to 9 p.m. Y'all have a good night, tight lines. We'll see you week after next for another live stream show. Thanks for hanging out, and thanks for being a part of our Hubbard's Marina family, y'all.